So you fumbled. Maybe you know exactly what you did. Maybe you already admitted to it, apologized, felt horrible about it, or maybe you're sitting with it and not sure how to name it or deal with it. Either way, you're here because something went wrong and you don't know what to do next. Here's the thing, messing up is part of being human. Every single one of us has fumbled. But what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck in what they do is after the fumble. Some people own it and don't know where to go from there. Some people beat themselves up forever. Some pretend it didn't happen. And some people make excuses and blame everyone else. Now, look at that. None of that moves you forward. So today's Friday Five is about what happens after you mess up. Whether you already owned it or you're still avoiding it, these questions are going to help you figure out what's next. How do you take responsibility without drowning in shame? How do you learn from it without letting it define you? How do you actually make amends? How do you move forward? Because fumbling doesn't make you a failure. What you do after is what matters. So grab your journal, get comfortable, and let's check in, shall we? I have my journal. I'll show you the first question. Question 1. What exactly did you do, and can you own it without making excuses? Let's start right here, because most people can't even admit when they actually did. They minimize it, they justify it, they blame circumstances, other people, bad timing, stress, anything to avoid saying, I messed up. So this question is asking you to be specific. What exactly did you do? Not what led to it. So think about that. Not what someone else did, not the context or the excuses, just what did you do? Did you lie? Did you cheat? Snapped at someone you that didn't deserve it? Did you ghost someone? Did you break a promise? Did you say something that's hurtful? You avoided responsibility? Did you make a bad decision that hurt someone or yourself? Name it out loud without softening it, without but or because or I was just own it. Because accountability starts with honesty, and you can't fix what you won't acknowledge. You can't grow from what you won't name. You can't make amends if you're still pretending that it wasn't that bad. Owning your mistakes doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. It makes you trustworthy. It shows you're capable of growth, but you have to actually do it. No excuses, no deflection. Just, I did this. I was wrong. This is on me. Do that? Can you own what you did without making yourself the victim? Because that's where recovery starts. Question number 2. Who did you hurt? And have you actually made amends, or are you just waiting for them to get over it? Now, let's talk about the people affected by your fumble. Because most mistakes don't just hurt you, they hurt someone else. And this question is asking, have you actually dealt with that? Or are you just hoping time will fix it? A lot of us think an apology is enough. I'm sorry. What more do you want? But saying sorry isn't the same as making amends. Making amends means you acknowledge the harm, you took responsibility, and you do something to fix it. Not just with words, but with actions. It means if you lied, you tell the truth. if you broke trust, you rebuild it, even if it takes time. Even if you hurt someone, you just don't apologize and move on. You make change the behavior that causes the hurt in the first place. But here's what most people do instead. They apologize once, okay, maybe twice, and they get frustrated if the other person isn't quite over it yet. I already said sorry. Why are you still mad? Because sorry without change is manipulation. It's just words to get them to stop being upset with you. So this question is asking, what did you hurt? And what have you actually done to make it right? Have you had that hard conversation? Have you listened to how they feel without getting defensive? Have you showed them through your actions that you're different now? Or are you just waiting for them to forgive you so you can feel better? Because real accountability isn't about making yourself feel less guilty. It's about repairing the harm you caused. Question number 3. What were you avoiding or protecting when you made that choice? This one is going to make you think. I mean, I know it made me think at least. Because most fumbles aren't random. They happen because you were trying to avoid something uncomfortable or protect yourself from something scary. Maybe you lie because you're scared of the consequences of telling the truth. Maybe you ghost someone because you didn't want to have that hard conversation. Maybe you self-sabotage because you were scared of success, scared of failing, of being seen. Maybe you hurt someone before they could hurt you. Maybe you made a bad decision because you were trying to numb something you didn't want to feel. This question is asking you to dig a little deeper than I messed up. I'm asking, why? What were you running from? What were you protecting? Were you trying to avoid feelings, facing, or dealing with? Because if you don't understand the why, you're going to fumble again. You're going to repeat the same mistakes with different people in different situations because you never address the roots. And no one has actually held you accountable to address the roots of the situation. So sit with this. What are you avoiding when you made that choice? What were you scared of? What part of you were trying to protect? And is the protection that part of the worth that damaged it caused? Growth means facing uncomfortable things instead of running from it. It means honesty without your patterns. It means understanding yourself well enough to recognize when you are about to fumble before you do it. But you can't get there if you don't know what you're running from. Question number 4. Are you using this mistake to confirm what you already believe about yourself? Or are you willing to see it as a lesson? Let's talk about shame versus growth. Because when you fumble, you have 2 choices. You can let it confirm your worst belief about yourself. See, I always mess everything up. That's an example. I'm not good enough. I'm broken. I'm unlivable. I've always been told I'm a failure, so I just believe and go on with it. I'll never get it right. Or you can choose to see it as a lesson. I messed up. I'm learning, growing. This mistake does not define me. Most of us choose shame and we spiral We beat ourselves up. We let one mistake become proof that we're fundamentally flawed. And then we stay stuck there. Because if you believe you messed up, why bother trying to do better? It's so easy to say that, and instead of just trying to fix the results. Mistakes don't make you broken. Mistakes do not make you broken. They make you human. Every single person you admired has fumbled. Every single person who's successful has failed. Every single person who seems like they have it together has messed up royally at some point. The difference is they didn't let it define them. So this question is asking, are you going to use this fumble to stay stuck in shame? Or are you going to use it to grow? Are you going to let it be evidence of your worth? Or evidence of humanity? Because the story you tell yourself about the mistakes matter. If you tell yourself I'm a failure, you're going to act like one. If you tell yourself I'm learning, you'll keep trying. One keeps you stuck and one moves you forward. What story are you telling yourself about this fumble? And is it serving you or keeping you small? Question number 5. What's one thing you're going to do differently next time you're in a similar situation? All right. We acknowledge the mistake. We owned it. Also, I hope you have acknowledged the mistake and you have owned it. We make amends, or we're going to make amends. We understand the why. Now, what are you going to do differently? Because this is where most people stop. They feel bad, they apologize, they promise to do better, but they never actually identify what better looks like for them or what better looks like in general. So when they're in similar situations, they fumble again. Same mistakes, different day. Growth requires a plan. It requires you to say, okay, I messed up here. Next time I'm in a situation like this, I'm going to do this instead. Not I'll try harder. Not I'll be better. Specific, concrete, actionable. If you thought about avoiding a hard conversation, what's the plan for next time? Specific, concrete, actionable. I want you to get this in your head because it's in minds. It's definitely in minds. What is the plan for next time you need to have one? Are you going to write it out first? Ask for help? Set a boundary. If you fumble by reacting out of anger, what's the plan for next time you triggered? Because typically people either walk away, stop speaking, maybe you'll count to 10, journal before your response. If you fumble by people pleasing and saying yes when you meant to say no, what's the plan for the next time someone asks you for something you can't give? Are you going to practice saying, let me think about it instead of an automatic yes? This question is about turning your fumble into a lesson you can actually use, not just feeling bad about it, not just saying you'll do better. Actually planning for how you handle it differently next time. Because you're going to be tested again. Life is going to put you in similar situations. And when it does, are you going to fumble the same way? Or are you going to show yourself and everyone's watching that you're learning something different? Okay, Empowerment Click. This is the 5 questions for Friday's 5. I named it Friday's 5. I think this is so every Friday I look to give you 5 questions that to think about, to give you options to choose new path, new ways of thinking and encouraging and empower yourself to be a more critical thinker. So I hope these 5 questions are something that, leaves you thinking. I know it's gonna be heavy. I know some of you are sitting with some kind of regret right now. Maybe you're thinking about something you did yesterday, last week, last year, something you still haven't fully dealt with, and that's okay. This is your chance. Every day's a new step. I feel these questions aren't about beating yourself up. They're about taking responsibility so you can move forward because you can't grow if you're still stuck in shame. You can't change if you're making excuses. You can't bounce back if you won't acknowledge the flail. And of course, I'm gonna always take this back to my 5 pillars. You know, and, um, my 4 pillars, my God, what was my 5 pillars? It's Friday, think about the 5 questions, okay. My 4 pillars in this way: attitude, self-worth, gratitude and legacy, and they all gonna intertwine one another, you know. So choosing your attitude, but choosing accountability and any excuses, Self-worth, I'm gonna say, is like knowing one mistake doesn't define you. You know, with gratitude is being thankful for the lesson even when it's painful. And legacy, showing people what real growth looks like. So you need to ask yourself these questions because fumbling is part of life. But what you do after the fumble, that's what matters. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one of these questions and sit with it for a week, to be honest. Journal, do the work of actually dealing with your mistakes instead of avoiding it. Drop a comment and let me know what question hits you. What fumble are you finally ready to deal with? I'm reading all of them and I want to hear from you. This helps me to be able to create more questions um, and examples with the questions. I hope that the examples are giving you a lot of ideas and ways to express yourself, to be able to take on a new challenge, to be able to, how can I say, step up and be able to reiterate, I need to change. This is right. This is me. And I want you to be able to feel seen. Absolutely. And if this episode helped you, share with someone who needs permission to own their mistakes and move forward. I'm building a community of people who are willing to grow even when it's uncomfortable. So next week's Friday Five will be about a whole new topic. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Uh, and remember, guys, knowing yourself is not selfish. It's really seriously necessary. Check yourself so you can be yourself. This is a vibe checkout. Peace.